Okay, D-Ray Cruz here, your life applications officer. I'm gonna do this video and hopefully some things will come to my attention, to my memory, and to my concern as I'm speaking. Two things I did today. One was I watched a follow-up video between Jesse Lee Peterson and David Pakman. And I watched more feedback about the Conor McGregor and the Khabib guy. I can't pronounce his first name or last name, actually. The fight, the feedback from the fight. Why people understand why Khabib got angry and did what he did, and at the end of the fight. I watched those two. I had a talk today with a friend of mine who's a Jehovah's Witness. I did that. And we had a long, drawn-out conversation about Jesus and why Jesus is God. He is the second of the Trinity, and why that is important to our faith. And I corrected him and instructed him how important it is to our faith, and that it is heresy to call him anything but the second of the Trinity. If you can't call him God, don't ever call him an angel or some kind of other spiritual being. That's blasphemy. When you put the verses together and really understand who he is, if we take Jesus seriously at all, take him seriously right or drop the subject, and we got a religion based upon the fact that and that's a big separation. And so I did that. I did a number of things today, and that affect my faith, that show my faith, that affect my faith. David Pakman, let me start there. This is the lie of atheism, the lie of the liberal skeptic movement that is plaguing the world today, who try to act like believing in God, believing in the Bible is the dumbest thing. Believing in God and believing in the Bible, they're trying to make it a crime. And there's so many different varieties of people, but they all have that one thing in common. They're trying to make believing in God a crime. And me believing in God does not make me hate homosexuals. It just makes me not want me or my family to indulge in homosexuality or to become homosexual. Okay, me not believing in abortion or protesting against abortion doesn't make me hate or throw mud or malice at those that practice abortion. It just causes me not to want me or my family to practice abortion. I would totally, encourage my daughters, if they find themselves in such a situation, not to do so. I think I found out why UPMC has us keeping people from smoking on UPMC property, even though you're smoking outside. You cannot smoke on UPMC property. UPMC is not a Christian organization, even though they allow you to have a Catholic chapel inside the church. I mean, inside the hospital, most of them. But that's in due respect to the Catholic. That doesn't make it a Catholic hospital. But I think I know why. UPMC does not want anyone smoking on the property. This is why. And I just found this out. They do this because they are trying to make smoking look bad. And they're trying to, within their rights and their power, prohibit smoking with the future belief that people will see how nasty a habit it is and stop eventually doing it. In the long or short run, they'll stop smoking. And now, if I look at it that way, I think that looks pretty good, because that is the way I, as a Christian, practice my faith in God. That is the way I've overcome addiction. That is the way I overcome, my eating habits. That is the way I overcome, there's people I will not let visit my house. People I even care about. Wouldn't let them visit my house. There's people who I won't let in my car, or I won't get in their car. There's people who I won't spend more than a few minutes talking to them in public, or especially in private, because I know it'll escalate to something else. This is just a matter of disciplining the moment to avoid sin. Whether it be the sin of me being enticed sexually or trying to entice someone else sexually. Whether it be the sin of bringing up old habits and getting into a fight in my house. Or whether it be friends of mine that would come in, and because of the way they have lived their lives over the years, they would turn and rob me or harm me in some kind of way because they've been unstable all these years. There's many reasons why I abstain from many things, and I don't want certain things around me. There is no possible way getting to it. There is no possible way that, let's say, somebody like David Pakman can come up with these terms that are theologically linked to other terms that atheists make and other people of the skeptic atheist movement, and linked to the liberal Democrats who their goal is to change America to be something it never was. This is the difference between Republicans and Democrats. We want to make what America already was, not is, was, Republicans. We want to make America what it already was, stronger, and squash what it's becoming. Whereas the Democrats want to make America become a utopia, an open, free market of not only everybody's individual and in some cases pathetic rights that they just make up. They just stir it in a bowl and make it up. Here, I need this right. I need my rights fulfilled. Where'd you pull that out of the hat? Rights. And if I believe in God, I have to ask, when does God get his rights? God has rights too. That is my favorite t-shirt I ever read. God has rights too. Okay? And that's what I'll title this video. God has rights too. And there is no way that somebody like David Pakman talking to Jesse Lee Peterson can sit there and bring up these made-up theological arguments that are well made up, invented. Okay? I can disagree about whether certain foods are bad for me. I can disagree with whether or not whether pink, the color pink, looks good on a man. I can argue about whether a man should wear long hair or ever have his hair permed, or I can argue about tattoos and different things that I don't care to get into, and what I'm saying, those arguments could be boring and they could just fall off to the side and become nothing. But when you are armed with this argument for those who would oppose all the liberal stuff that the Democrats want to impose upon America, like the sexual revolution, abortion, genders, you know what I'm saying? You want to mix this with politics. You want to make your problem, that's what you're doing, it's your problem. If you wake up in the morning and you think that you are a man in a woman's body, or vice versa, why does that have to be my problem? See, when I say that I'm a Christian, I remember a guy at my job, he got in a heated discussion with me. He was ready to fight me. He was offended by me saying that I'm not a fornicator. Because he kept talking to me about this Indian girl who had eyes for me and I had eyes for her. And she could barely speak English. And because they know that I don't play, I don't brag about what I do with women and all that kind of stuff. A friend of mine, an older friend of mine, because he was in a relationship with a girl that got tired of being this little bimbo, and she finally stopped sleeping with him, and then, he don't want to admit it, but he wasn't getting any, okay? But the whole hype and jive about men getting over on women sexually, and that's what it is, men getting over on women sexually, women being gullible about their own desires, women trying to keep up with men by being sexually. Casual sex is not a woman thing, it's a man thing. When women having casual sex is kind of feminist. Okay, and it's kind of trying to separate herself from the fact that she's a victim to a man's sexual desires towards her. And they always are. They can be as feminist as they want to be. They can be as masculine as they want to be. They can be as, hateful towards men and think that they know everything about, it doesn't matter. Even gay women fall victim to men's stance on the sexual revolution because men and women are different. And so when a woman is practicing casual sex, she's actually trying to she's actually trying to be a man. She's actually trying to compete with men. She's basically saying that, if it's good for the man, it's good for the woman too. And it's not. Because you're two different species. What's good for a dog isn't good for a cat. You know what I'm saying? What's good for your rabbit is not necessarily good for your cat or vice versa. Men and women are different. And you can get as feminists and talk about all your rights all you want to, but men and women are different. God made them different for a reason. And women, and this is the lie that is told to the world. Women are ashamed to be women. When I was watching some of the extra video footage of the Khabib-Conor McGregor fight, I noticed the women standing around. And a lot of times these women, when they go out, they wear, even though they got a man with them, they wear clothes where every man just wants to, lie down with her. And women love that feeling of power. They love that feeling of attention. They love that feeling of invincibility. And sometimes women go out with men so that they can dress any way they want to. So that they can, make everybody wish, and drool and, all like that. And a lot of times the whole reason the boyfriend is there so that they can wear certain things. And they think, because they have their boyfriend with them, that doesn't make them look like a slut. Well, when you bring that, when you type in that with how you treat your boyfriend, when it comes to the matter of him saying yes or no to you about different things, or letting you know what he desires in relation or unrelated to what you desire, and your true colors come out, then we find that you are a woman who not only wants to have power over all men, and you use your body and your dress code and everything to represent this, but you want power of your own man. Women don't appreciate being women. And you know what I'm saying? Feminism did not necessarily come. Well, I do agree. Feminism, I think the hallmark of feminism is men being dogs. Because you know what causes feminism? The reason why women are feminists is because women understand that the opposite of what they're saying. They understand that they are not men and they cannot keep up with men. You can't keep up with men sexually. You can't keep up with men masculine wise. You can't. You cannot. It doesn't matter whether you're gay. It doesn't matter if you're an MMA girl. It doesn't matter what you are. You cannot walk in a man's shoes. You cannot be the adventurous, aggressive, insensitive, straight to the point, okay, alpha person that a man is. You can't do it. And it doesn't matter if you change your gender or anything. You cannot walk in my shoes. One thing that I will never ever feel in competition with as a man is a woman. Okay? That's laughable. Okay? And I'm not even talking about my male parts. I'm talking about my mind. I'm talking about my personality, my character, my ability to practice leadership. You can't touch this. You just really can't, because God did not create you to touch this. Okay? You just can't. But God has created women to pay attention to detail, to see the things that the men don't see. He has created women to be designers and to be decorators and to be sensitive about, the sensitive side of their own husbands, the sensitive side of their own children, the sensitive side, the beautiful side of their homes, and the sweet smelling taste of their own food, their own recipes, and all this. Okay, I'm not saying that all women have to be in the kitchen, but all women don't belong on the battlefield either. I'm not saying that all women have to be, doing little feminine jobs and acting like, okay, women of the late 30s or something. But what I'm saying is that women are not aggressive characters either. They're not leaders of everything. They're not. And a woman who wants a man to be a man in her life. There's a woman who had feelings for me, and I feel bad. But she said the most sexiest thing I've ever heard. that my ex-wife never said to me. And this woman was not my type. But we were talking about the Bible one day, and we were talking about her church versus my church, and there were some things that she had going on that I didn't agree with, and I was telling her in a loving way that I disagree, and we got to arguing about scripture, and she stopped, and she said, wait, you're the man. So you lead. We opened up the Bible. She said, wait, you're the man. You lead. And I give her the most highest respect and regard for that. Because it's true. She understood where the chromosomes fall. Because let's get real. When it comes to leadership in certain areas, especially that involve all, more women are more concerned about being less appreciated or left out of the loop than they are really being a leader at all. Let's get real. Yesterday, I heard a video about a pastor who had to tell his congregation that he had come out of the closet, male pastor. And most of his congregation stuck by his side when he said that. Now, like I said, how I feel about homosexuals, not my problem. If I walk out of your church and say I don't go to your church anymore because I don't believe that you can be as gay as you want to be, but to call yourself Christian and be gay, to me that's like being white and calling yourself black. Okay? You know what I'm saying? You know, that's like, you know, calling yourself a cat but you bark like a dog. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and why does it have to be my problem? So I would walk out. It doesn't mean I hate homosexuals because, or and I'll be honest, I don't support anything I don't agree with. But I don't hate you. I don't, you know. I just believe that there is a natural order of things. And I think the atheists know this. I think David Pakman knows this. How do you prepare for how do you come to the Jesse Lee Peterson show and you say we didn't get along last time, but you start this argument and there's things that you and Jesse never talked about, but you decide to tell Jesse that, oh, well, I know we disagree. How do you know you disagree? How do you know that? You know that because you know that the Spirit of God is not the spirit that's in you. That's common sense. Why do you care about legalizing things that have nothing to do with you? Homosexuals, if you are not gay, you don't know what it's like to be gay. You cannot walk in their shoes. So why are you trying to act like we need to build a gay utopia? Okay? You know what I'm saying? And you come in there with all this stuff about, you know, and it's all about everybody's freedom. But my question is, I'm sitting back and I'm going like, who's keeping you from having any freedom? Nobody's putting you in jail for being gay. Nobody's putting you in jail for being a feminist. No, people might arrest you for getting on the street and doing things you shouldn't do because you don't like the fact that other people don't support what you do. Or they might have some derogatory statements to say against you because they think what you're doing is totally stupid. But in all due reality, nobody owes you support. Nobody owes me support as a Christian. I don't need your support. I have Christians to support me. But don't try to define to me, and this is where I'm closing. Don't don't you ever try to define to me what is the natural order for me. Because you'll have a bigger finger pointing right back at you, telling you what the natural order is or should be. You have a problem. The Democrats, the liberals, the non-Christians, people of this earth, people of the world, people that claim that have derogatory statements to say about religion and say about Jesus. People who criticize us for believing in the Bible and they talk like, they're at a civil war against the Bible. You kind of know, like Jesse Lee Peterson told David Pakman, you do know. My problem with you, Mr. Pakman, is that you know that you're wrong and you trying to call it something else. You bring this on my show, and I'm not even talking about this. You bring it to my show because you want to argue about it, because you're going against the pricks, like it says in the Bible, kicking against the pricks. You're kicking against the pricks. The goats, the goads, GOADs, not going to fall over just because you kick them. Because they're more on a sure foundation. They're planted into the ground. And the Bible says there is no foundation laid but that of Christ. Christ is bigger than religion. Christ is bigger than the Bible. Christ is all and in all. All things were made through him. I had to explain this to my Jehovah's Witness friend, and he can't understand, and they have this whole retarded religion, I'm sorry, based on what they don't know. And I said, this is your homework. I want you to go home and do your homework and tell me, come back next week and tell me, why does God get to sit on the right hand of God and the rest of us don't? Why does Jesus get to sit on the right hand of God and the rest of us don't? Why did Jesus consider himself equal with God and the only people that were upset about it were those that were sinning against God? And these Jehovah Witnesses, you know, when we talk about being born again and we talk about, you know, that being a Christian is bigger than doing alms. And I says, yes, you're right. Because unless Christ, without Christ, there is no remission for sins. But if you think that Christ was not worthy to say that he was equal with God, then you don't really understand what being born again is all about. Because without Christ being equal with God, what is he, a man? What is he, a fairy tale like Hercules? Do I need an atheist to come and finish the story for you, man? Who is he? If he's not equal to God, why do we have to? Why are we worshiping him? Why is he the author and finisher of the faith? And they try to spin this, and I'm saying, you seem to be having trouble putting your story together. But yet, your whole religion is based upon what? The fact that you don't understand the doctrine of the Trinity, that you don't understand who Jesus really is. And if you don't understand who Jesus really is, then you don't understand who the church really is. If you don't understand who the church really is, you don't understand the natural order of the human man, or the human mankind, the human species. You don't understand the natural order because God's people were here first. God's people were here first. There's always been two sides from the beginning. There was Adam and Eve, and there was the serpent. And then when they walked out of the garden, there was the sons of Adam, the family of Adam, and the family that rebelled against the true family and decided to separate themselves and create their own pagan Babylon, like Cush was the first pagan who couldn't make up his mind whether God existed or whether God was something else. He was anything and everything except what Noah and Seth and Adam called him. Call him anything but what they call him. Call him anything, but deny the fact that everybody died. Because they did not get on that ark. Now you want to let this happen again. God's people were here first. Before there was ever, they were scattered at the Tower of Babel and spread out among the earth to practice their own nonsense. God's people. How did we survive? How did we get to this point? Without having science. The atheists and the evolutionists are still trying to figure this out. How do we get to this point? Where do we get all these titles from and who named the animals? Where did marriage come from? Where did Where did man learn how to live and breathe and have his being? Many moons before this time, and you think the earth has been here for billions of years, but yet you don't understand how man became so smart. Because God has rights too. His rights are above ours. Bible says we must decrease and let him increase. We are a worm compared to him. What is man that thou art mindful of him? God doesn't need us, we need him. Kanye West, that's the other one I couldn't think of it. Kanye West and the whole Don Lemon thing. And there was a guy, what's his name? Tommy Sotomayor. He's a pagan, but he said one thing right. He says, excuse my French, church people, but he said this. He says, Don Lemon, you're a man that takes dick. I cannot take you serious. You want to talk about Kanye West and a father figure. Did your father approve of you or teach you how to be gay? But everything is bigotry to those that have itching ears. Everything is bigotry and hatred to those who don't like the natural order of things. And in order to argue with a Christian, in order to argue with, a certain population of the Republican Party, especially about certain issues, you have to hate the natural order of things. But I have one thing to say about all this, including the Republican Party. God has rights too. Okay? And you're going after Christians. Okay? But the Christian isn't God's right. The earth and the fullness thereof is his right. And he has a right to bless those that he will have grace upon. And he has the right to burn those that he feels are disqualified. That's Bible. But before you argue, understand that the natural order of things is already established. We just have to catch up with it and get back to it. But it's already here. It's never went nowhere. We just try to deny it and act like it's not there, but it's there. I'm DeRoy Cruz, your Life Applications Officer. Thank you for watching.